How you doing, everybody, and welcome to the press box here at University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, where the Packers beat the Cardinals today 33-7, setting up a trip right back here 7 days from now for another installment of Packers Cardinals. They played them in the preseason, they played them in the regular season, and now they'll play them in the NFC Wilde card playoffs. Meanwhile, we've got the crews outside down on the field, changing the field from the Cardinals' home turf to the turf for the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl between TCU and Boise State. And before we head out of here, and this becomes a Bowl Championship Series venue, we had a couple of questions for Wilde's Mailbox here at ESPNMilwaukee.com and ESPNMadison.com. They all came from Twitter. The first one came from Patrick, who wanted to know if the Packers took a conservative play-calling approach with the likelihood of a rematch pretty much set when the Vikings took a 31-0 halftime lead against the New York Giants at the Metrodome. And the answer, Patrick, is yes. Offensively, it didn't really look like it, but they did run a lot of their base plays. Now, Mike McCarthy said in the second and third quarter he started crossing things off of his play call sheet that he didn't want to use today because he wanted to save it for next week. On the other side, defensively, talking with Don Capers after the game, he clearly played his base defenses extensively. Now, he used nickel, he used dime, obviously, because of the number of receivers the Cardinals can put on the field. But he didn't call a lot of blitzes, as you saw. That was his approach. He tried to keep most of his bag of tricks closed in advance of next week's game. Two other questions that we faced. One was about the Packers' inability to get Aaron Rodgers to the franchise record for most passing yards in a season. Adam in LA asked that question, and Aaron Rodgers was aware of the record. He knew he was 25 yards short when he came out at the end of the third quarter, and they went to Matt Flynn to start the fourth quarter. But he did accomplish another goal, which was 30 touchdowns in the season, which he joins Lynn Dickey and Brett Favre as having accomplished that feat. But I don't have a good answer for why Mike McCarthy chose then to finally take him out, knowing that he had 25 more yards to go. I think he could have probably left him in instead of pulling him when he did. The only other question that I faced in the Twitter box was, I'm going to take a peek at it, was about whether or not the Packers ever considered staying here knowing that they were going to play again against the Cardinals in the playoffs. And the answer to that question is Mike McCarthy never gave it any thought. There are some sports writers that are going to stay, and there are a few players who would have liked to have stuck around instead of going back to the minus 15-degree wind chills and actually stayed here and played some golf during the week and so on when they had their off time. But no, there was no consideration of them staying here at all. Their decision was very clear from the very beginning to get them back to Green Bay, get them back into their routine. And as it turns out, it's the smart play because we thought they were going to play on Saturday. It turns out they're playing on Sunday. They went from possibly being the very first game of the playoff weekend to now being the last. So Sunday afternoon, 3:30 Wisconsin time, Packers-Cardinals right back here at University of Phoenix Stadium. If you've got more questions for Wilde's Mailbox, I will be headed back to Wisconsin in the morning, but be sure to send those either via email to jwilde@ESPNMilwaukee.com or jwilde@ESPNMadison.com, or you can do what we did tonight and go off Twitter if you can get your question into 140 characters. I've got a few more questions in my email box. I will try to get to those this week, but keep them coming. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for the playoff run.